Hi there. So today we are going to be making this lovely plastic coat hanger here, and we're going to do this using the sweep command. So we are going to start by making a new standard part. So make sure that you are in the US English standard part, and we will create this. So to start with, we're actually just going to make a sketch of the outline of our coat hanger. So I'm going to start my 2D sketch. We'll go ahead and do it on my XY plane here. And I'm going to start over here with a line. I want my line to be horizontal, and I want it to be 17 inches long. So when I zoom out, I can see that there is my line. I can go ahead and put another line over here. And then just hit escape. So what I want to do before I start drawing the rest of my coat hanger, this is going to be part of it, is I actually want to make a center line, a construction line, sticking up from the center of this 17-inch line. So if I just kind of move over, eventually I should see that green dot indicating that I am in the middle. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line straight upwards, and it doesn't really matter how long it is, it's just to help me out, and then I'm going to hit escape. And then I'm going to uncheck construction. All right, so this is the midline of my coat hanger. And then I'm going to actually just drag this a little bit closer to there. And I'm going to actually then dimension this guy so that it goes from here to here, and I want that to be a 30-degree angle. Okay. My next line is going to start at the origin. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to come up here to there. And then I'm going to stop for a second to do some dimensioning. So I need to dimension between this line and this line and make that 30 degrees. And then I want the length of this line, so from this point to this point, I want that to just be 1.5 inches. The other thing I want to do is I want to get close to this, but not all of the way. And there's a reason for that, because when we use sweep, we want it to be a line that does not form a complete loop. We actually want an open line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dimension between here and here, and let's get it pretty close. How about 0.3 inches? That's pretty close. It meet up with the rest of the coat hanger. But it's pretty close. Okay. And then I am going to add the little 3-point arc at the top of my, where my, this would hang on the closet. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click over. I want this to be 2 inches. And then when I hit enter, I drag up, and I want that to be 1 inch up. Okay. It didn't actually make that 1 inch up. Oh yeah, I guess it did. There we go, 1 inch up. Okay. Now, I want to make this guy tangent from here to here. That makes it nice and smooth. And then we'll add one more line from here downward, 0.5 inches. Okay, and then I hit escape. All right, so that is what the outline of my coat hanger looks like. Now, if you don't see it, don't forget you can always move dimensions around. You can just kind of like slide them out of the way so that you can actually see the shape of the coat hanger a little nicer if you'd like to. But you can now see that I have my coat hanger shape roughly in there. Okay, so I'm going to finish sketch 1 here. Okay, and if I zoom out, I can see it. Now, how do I turn this into a 3-dimensional coat hanger? The trick is to make a little circle right at the end of this line, and then Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Coat hangers are rounded at the end. Let's go back into sketch 1. So remember, when we edit a sketch, we go to the sketch, we double click on the picture next to it. Let's add a fillet, a 2D fillet of about a 1/2 inch between this line and this line, and between this line and this line. Now that looks more like a coat hanger. Beautiful. Okay, now we're finished. That looks great. Okay. So, as I was saying, we are going to create a little circle right at the end of that point that's actually perpendicular to that, and it's going to sweep all the way around it. So to do this, what I want to do is I want to find the plane that is sideways, so next to my coat hanger. So I'm actually just going to make this guy visible for a second. And then I am going to use a little bit of math. So remember that my line was originally 17 inches from the origin. So half of 17, this halfway mark, would have been 8.5 inches. And I actually made this 0.3 inches over. So 8.5 plus 0.3 is 8.8. Why am I calculating that? Because I'm going to make an offset plane. So plane offset from plane. We're going to offset it from here, this plane, and then, come on, there we go. And then we're going to make this number 8.8. And when I do so, what you'll see is that plane lines up exactly with where that coat hanger, the edge of that little coat hanger line is. All right, so I can make my YZ plane invisible again because I don't really care about it anymore. But I am going to need this work plane. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the right. And my coat hanger seems to disappear because, remember, this is a two-dimensional, there is no depth to it yet. Then I'm going to start a 2D sketch. And I'm going to actually angle this. I almost never do this when I'm in 2D sketch mode. I'm going to make my sketch there. I'm going to angle it over a little bit. And then I am going to, just to make sure I get there, I'm going to project that line into my sketch. What that allows me to do is it allows me to find the very end of that line, and I'm going to make a 0.375 inch circle, which at an angle doesn't look like a circle, it looks like an oval. But if I look at it dead on, you can see that it is indeed a circle. So with that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the sweep command. Sweep does exactly what it sounds like. It is going to take this circle, sweep it along this whole path, and leave three-dimensional geometry in its place. So I'm going to click sweep. It already knows that the only shape on here that I can sweep is that, so it's selected it. The curve that I want to select is this guy. And I think you get a nicer looking. It may not let you, so if you tried to do it that way and you see like, ooh, it's not actually letting me do that, you actually, when you have curves, want to use this behavior where it actually follows the path as opposed to where it makes a fixed line up and down. This doesn't work really well with curves. This one does. So that looks great. And you can see that if I hit OK, I now actually have a coat hanger. So let's make this work plane invisible so that I can see my coat hanger. Let's go ahead and apply a material to it. So there's my solid body. Let's use ABS plastic. So there it, oops, ABS plastic. Oh, I didn't actually, for some reason, it always takes a second try. ABS plastic, there it is. The one other thing that I'd like to do is that most coat hangers, the plastic kind of round at the end. I'm going to apply a little fillet right here of 1/8 of an inch, 0.125, and that makes it nice and round. So this is your finished coat hanger right there. If you're annoyed by the fact that it shows these geometry differences, I just want to show you that in the view, you can actually change the visual style from shaded with edges to just smooth and shaded, and then it really does look like a coat hanger. We typically keep shaded with edges as our default because it allows us to see things when we are modeling them. But this is what you're going to screenshot. You're going to go ahead and open up the snipping tool. You're going to make a new snip, make sure your name is up here in the corner, and submit that to your assignment. And that's using the sweep tool. Thank you so much.